Chapter on Ghusl. There are 3 farzes to be observed when making a Ghusl in the Hanafi madhab, 5 farzes in the Maliki madhab, 2 in the Shafi'i madhab, and 1 farz in the Hanbali madhab. In the Hanafi madhab, the first farz is to wash inside the mouth once with water. It is farz to wet between the teeth and inside the tooth sockets. A Muslim who is in the Hanafi madhab cannot have their teeth filled or crowned unless there is a dururat to do so. They can have a prosthesis made, so that they can remove it and wash under it whenever they have to make a ghusl. A Muslim who has had his teeth filled or crowned without a dururat will be a Muslim with an udr on account of the haraj, difficulty, he has thereby encountered. He will have to imitate one of the Shafi'i and Maliki madhabs when making a ghusl. In that case, however, they will have to add, I am imitating the Shafi'i, or Maliki, madhab, to their niyyat, whenever they are to make a ghusl or an ablution and when performing namaz. The second farz is to apply water into the nostrils once. And the third farz is to wash the entire body once. It is farz to wash those parts of the body which do not cause haraj, difficulty, for washing. If a part of the body cannot be washed on account of a dururat, that is a cause that exists in creation and which is not one's own making, it will be forgiven by Allahu Ta'ala, and the ghusl made will be sahih, valid, sound. As is stated in the book entitled Dur-ul-Mukhtar, food remains between the teeth and or in the tooth sockets will not prevent the ghusl made from being sahih. This is the case according to the fatwa. 4. Water will penetrate them and wet the place under them. If the remains are solid, the scholars said that they would prevent water's penetration. And that is the truth of the matter. Ibn Abidin, rahimahullahu ta'ala, explains the matter as follows. It is written in the book entitled Khalasa al-Fatawa, as well, that they will not prevent water's penetration because water, a liquid, will pass through the food, so as to wet the place under it. If it is found out that water is not passing through the food remains, the ghusl made will not be sahih, a fact which is acknowledged by all scholars unanimously. The same is stated also in the book entitled Hilyat-ul Mujali, written by Ibn Amir Hajj, Halabi, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, Ali, 879 Hijra. If the remains have solidified under constant pressure, they will not let water pass through, and so the ghusl made will not be sahih. 4. There is not a dururat in this. In other words, it is not something that has happened by itself. Nor is there any haraj in cleaning these parts, or the body. Dururat means a supernatural cause that compels one to do something, or not to do something, that is a cause that cannot be helped. Examples of a dururat are an Islamic commandment and prohibition, a vehement pain, danger of losing one of one's limbs or one's life, and to have no other option. Haraj, on the other hand, means difficulty or hardship to prevent something you have done from preventing you from performing an act that is farz or from causing you to commit an act that is haram. Commandments and prohibitions of Allahu Ta'ala, as an ensemble, are called Ahkam Islamiyya. When observing one of the rules of the Ahkam Islamiyya, that is when performing one of the commandments or avoiding one of the prohibitions, you follow the widely known and chosen one of the statements made by the scholars of your own madhab concerning the matter. If a haraj, difficulty, in following that chosen scholarly statement arises on account of something you have done, you follow a less preferable, and weaker one of the scholarly statements, made by other scholars who, too, are in your own madhab. If there is a haraj in following that statement as well, then you imitate another madhab and follow that madhab concerning that matter. If there is haraj in following that other madhab as well, then you look into the matter to see whether or not there is a dururat in doing the thing which causes haraj. First, when there is a dururat in doing something that is farz and which causes haraj, you will be absolved from having to do that farz. Second, when there is not a dururat in doing something that causes haraj, for example, fingernail polish, or there is a dururat and also a few ways of doing that thing and you choose the way that entails haraj, the act of worship that you do, in the way that entails haraj, will not be sahih. You have to perform that farz by utilizing the way without haraj. That another madhab should be imitated in case of haraj, hardship. That is if you choose the way that entails haraj, regardless of whether or not there is a dururat, is written in books entitled Fatawa Hadithiyah, written by Ibn Hajar Mekki Rahmatullah, Alaya, 899 Hijra 974 Hijra, Mecca. And Khulasat ot Tahqiq by Abdul Ghani Nablusi, Rahmatullahi Alayhi, 1050, Damascus 1143 Hijra, in Tatavi's annotation to Shirblali's, Rahimuhullahu book entitled Maraq il-Fella, and in the book entitled Mafu Wat, by Halil Esardi, Rahimahullahu Ta'ala. Mola Halil Esardi passed away in 1259, 1843 AD. A Hanafi Muslim who wants to have his aching or rotten tooth filled or crowned instead of having it extracted and replaced with a removable prosthesis or a set of teeth furnished with a palate will have to imitate the Shafi'i or Maliki madhab as he makes a ghusl. 4. It is not farz in these two madhabs to wash one's mouth and nostrils when making a ghusl. And it is quite easy to imitate the Shafi'i or Maliki madhab. You will have to make niyat, that is pass through your heart, that you are imitating the Shafi'i or Maliki madhab when making a ghusl or an ablution and when beginning to perform namaz or, if you forget, after performing namaz or when you remember to do so. In that case, the ablution and the ghusl that you make in the namaz that you perform will have to be sahih, valid, sound, according to the Shafi'i or Maliki madhab. For them to be sahih according to the Shafi'i madhab, you will have to renew your ablution when your skin touches the skin of a woman other than the 18 women who are eternally haram for you to make nikah with, and when the palm of your hand touches your own Kaaba avrat, that is the pubic or anal area of your own body, and recite the Fatiha Surah inwardly when you perform namaz, in jama'ah, conducted by an imam. To imitate another madhab does not mean to change your madhab. A Hanafi Muslim who imitates another madhab has not gone out of the Hanafi madhab. He adapts himself to that madhab only in farzes, mufsids. He observes the rules of his own madhab in wajibs, makruhs, and sunnats. There are 15 kinds of ghusl, 5 of them are farz, 5 of them are wajib, 4 of them are sunnat, and 1 of them is mustahab. Ghusl that are farz. When a woman's, or a girl's, menstrual or puerperal period is over, after coitus, that is sexual intercourse, after lustful seminal ejaculation, after a nocturnal emission and seeing semen in one's bed or underpants, it is farz to make a ghusl before the prescribed time of an unperformed namaz is over. Ghusl that are wajib. It is wajib to wash a dead Muslim, and for a child to make a ghusl as soon as it reaches the age of puberty. When husband and wife sleeping together wake up and see some seminal fluid between them and do not know which party it belongs to, it is wajib for both of them to make ghusl. When you see on yourself some seminal remains and cannot estimate the time when it was ejaculated, then it will be wajib for you to make a ghusl. And, when a woman bears a child, it is wajib for her to make a ghusl even if no bleeding has taken place. It is farz to make a ghusl in case of bleeding. Ghusls that are sunnat, to make a ghusl for Friday and Eid days, and at the time of Ikram regardless of your niyyah, intention, and before climbing Arafat hill. Ghusl that is mustahab. When a disbeliever becomes a believer, it is farz for him, or her, to make a ghusl if he, or she, was junub before becoming a believer, which means a state which necessitates a ghusl. Otherwise, it is mustahab for him, or her, to make a ghusl. There are 3 harams in ghusl. 1. For both sexes to expose parts of their body between immediately below the navel and between the knees in the presence of other people of their sex when making ghusl. In other words, it is haram for men to show their body limbs between below the navel and below the knees to other men, and for women to show their same body areas to other women, as they make a ghusl. 2. According to a Kavil, it is haram for Muslim women to show themselves to non-Muslim women when making a ghusl. This rule must be observed at other times as well. 3. Waste of water. In other words, it is haram to use more than necessary water when making a ghusl.